Welcome, gym trainers. I'm your host, Gym Leader Mia, where you can earn the Crystal Badge. Only 2 weeks to go before Let's Go Eevee or Pikachu comes out, and I'm very much excited. Every time new promo material appears on YouTube, I am gobsmacked about how well they did with the visuals for this one. And of course that means if this game does really well, which I do believe it will, mostly because of the integration with Pokémon Go, but more on that for another video. I really do hope the games do well because that means that we'll get an even better game for Gen 8 next year. So, I've been playing Pokémon Go since its release, and I've been consistently playing Pokémon Go. But hatching eggs by myself and just catching Pokémon hasn't been as much fun as it could be if more of my friends were still playing. In saying that, since raid battles and more gym battles and community days have popped up and special events, more of my friends have started to return to Pokémon Go, and that's been amazing. So we've been frequently incorporating that into our social activities. So I decided to make a list of the Pokemon that I've grown quite fond of due to Pokemon Go after one of my friends brought up that there's a lot of Pokemon designs that he never really noticed before playing with them in Pokemon Go. And that's a very good point. Let me know in the comments below which Pokemon you now have newfound appreciation for after starting to play Pokemon Go. First up, we have Swablu. Altaria has always been one of my favorites from Generation 3, especially because an old friend of mine's main fight in Gen 6 was a mega shiny Altaria. It's just an overall great design, the bird, dragon, cloud thing it has going on. But I never took much notice of the fluffy cloud that is Swablu. Until I realized I need to get 400 of them to evolve. I mean, it took me 2 years to get a Gyarados, and I said to myself, not again. So I asked all of my friends playing PoGo to help me catch Swablu and to trade them to me. As a joint effort, I finally got an Altaria, and a shiny one at that, because one of my friends happened to catch a shiny, and they knew that I was looking for an Altaria really badly. It was such a warm feeling, finally evolving that little yellow Swablu, that a lot of my friends were involved in catching. Next up, we have Manectric. I think Manectric might have been the first successful raid with 2 fellow Team Mystic members. I named him Bubble Pop after a Gwen Stefani song. I don't know why, but just when I was there, I was like, Bubble Pop Electric. Then a couple of weeks later, I left him in a gym because why not? He's a new Pokemon that I caught. This little trooper defended the gym overnight at the uni and up to midday, which is a great feat given that how often gyms get taken over at uni. And now he's one of my favorites to use in Pokemon Go. So at some point, there were a lot of Snubbull around and wild Granbull. Now I talked a little bit about Snubbull last year in my Pokemon and Afrikaans video, but Granbull has just been such a little ace in Pokemon Go. I think I have 2 Granbull that are like around CP 1800, but it does surprisingly well in gym battles, and I'm very impressed with it as a fighter. Now perhaps one that is quite unexpected, and that is Seedot. Seedot. They have such big feet, it's adorable! And they're such jolly little creatures. And now I just collect as many as I can because I had a Nuzleaf as my buddy for a little while because I was like, well, I want to complete more of the Hoenn Pokédex and I really need a Shiftry and there's all these Seedots running around, so why not? But now I just really have such an appreciation for Seedot, whereas before it was just such a, nothing Pokemon. So going back to Kanto region, Omastar. Well, the most I ever thought of Omastar was the funny sounds it made next to Omanyte in the anime. It was odd, but soothing, in a way. Now I often leave my Omastar in a gym and appreciate its design a lot more since I actually have to look at it a lot more often, because I'll leave it in the gym at the uni, and because the gyms are so full, because the library has so much traffic, I often have to go feed it berries, and I think now it's a really great Pokemon, and it does well in the gyms. Now, Donphan. I went to the movies with a friend one night, and we met up with heaps of our other friends at a chocolate coffee shop in the city. It was such a lovely evening. I think that was the first evening where everyone that's then returned to Pokemon Go started getting back into it. And so we noticed that there was a raid battle nearby, and it was a Donphan. And this was just after Johto, like most of the Pokemon had then been rolled out. So we went over, did the Donphan raid, and it was a pretty tough battle. And now I have a Donphan, and it reminds me of that evening. And hey, that rollout is pretty effective in gym battles. So that makes Donphan a new Pokemon that I can appreciate. So Cacnea, hilarious in the anime, a great companion of James, but not much else to say about Cacnea. That is until I evolved one into a Cacturn. I started leaving it in a gym because at the time I was like, oh well, it's a dark type, it might be something a bit different. And it just stays in the gyms. Like, people may just not know what to do against a Cacturn, or they think who in their right mind would put a Scarecrow Cactus as their main in a gym. And honestly, it's now one of my favorite Pokemon to use in Pokemon Go. Like, probably in a team of 6 in Pokemon Go, Cacturn would make that list. So, Oddish is seen as an easy catch in the games, and obtaining a Vileplume in the first year of PoGo was relatively easy. But when Johto came out, there were no Gloom around. There were no Oddish to be found. They were just completely missing. I think I had like 3 Sunstones at some point, but no Oddish. When I returned from South Africa in July, I actually put a Blossom in my Pokewalker from Soul Silver. I was like, this is going to be a lucky charm, and I'm going to get more Oddish. Also, at that point, a lot of people were trading more valuable Pokemon. Well, I guess it depends on what you put value on, but I'm talking like starter Pokemon that I wanted to evolve. Now I was more than happy to trade Squirtles for Oddishes because I already had my Blastoise. Then finally I got enough Oddishes to evolve my Gloom. And I didn't expect it to be much more than finally filling that slot in the Pokédex. And I like Blossom's design. But then, she single-handedly took down a Squirtle raid. And since then she's defeated other Pokemon like Porygon that she doesn't particularly have a type advantage over. And she's just not been too shabby in gym battles either. Who would have thunk it? Next we have Drifblim. This is a surprising one, even for me. This is the newest addition to the list. Because I looked forward to Gen 4 more so to evolve my Misdreavus to Mismagius, Electabuzz to Electivire, and so forth. But when the first couple of Pokemon rolled out, I realized these are, you know, your basic Route 1 or 401 or whatever they are in Diamond, Pearl, Platinum Pokemon. And I was like, oh, okay, that's okay, because I've actually played at least up to, you know, the first gym in those games. But then a fellow Poketuber and artist, Ghostly Fearless, expressed on Twitter that she really wanted to evolve a Drifloon before one of her friends on Twitter into a Drifblim, and she's really into Ghost type, so to feed on that hype, I took up the quest. Because last year I realized, or maybe it was the year before, that I actually quite like Ghost Pokemon designs. And Drifloon were everywhere, so you know, how hard could it be? Double candy, let's go. Then I realized you really do need those Nana berries that I almost never use, because they float all over the screen and there really weren't that many Wonder Ones around. And then when I finally got a Wonder One, it also happened to have high CP. Now I have this powerhouse of a Drifblim, and I've been looking for a strong Ghost type for a long time. I just thought it would be something like Misdreavus or Banette, but no, it's Drifblim. So I can appreciate this Pokemon a whole lot more now. Thank you, Ghostly Feelers. And lastly, we have our Moldo. Now, when I played the original Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald games, I had Sapphire and then later Emerald. But that meant that my fossil Pokemon was Cradily. And I liked using Cradily from time to time, but it wasn't, you know, particularly one of my favorites. Then we had a Rock Week or Fossil Week, something like that, in Pokemon Go. So there were many Anoriths on campus, and I thought, oh, I might as well catch them while they're around so I can evolve my Pokemon into a Moldo. But it really was just one of those things like, evolve it into the Pokédex now because I'm going to completely forget about this Pokemon's existence. And then I evolved it. That moment happened where it dropped on the screen, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the most adorable thing ever. It really was. That is not even an overstatement. Have you seen its adorable little arms? And when I started turning the Pokemon around on the Pokédex, I realized all the little intricacies of its design, the little red like feathery scales, and it's so bright and well designed. And this is when Pokemon Go shines, when they can really take a design from the games and make it stand out. Those features that you might miss in the main series games or haven't noticed before, that's where it really comes to light how great the Pokemon Go designs are. And that makes Armaldo my favorite Pokemon to use in Pokemon Go, which is, to me, a massive surprise, but I really adore it. And because its CP is like over 2,000, it's really fun to either leave in gyms or just to battle with. Pokemon that I didn't put on the list that I knew would be awesome would be like Ninetales, both the fire and the ice one, Starmie, Walrein, Snorlax, Pelipper, Nidoqueen, quick Pelipper story as I always have. When we had all those shiny Wingulls around, I was super busy with studying, and one of my friends took it upon himself to catch me a shiny Wingull to evolve into a Pelipper. So that makes a shiny Pelipper, which I've never really taken much interest to, now very special because he went out of his way to catch me a shiny Wingull. And that's my list. So I hope you can all tell me many stories of Pokemon you now appreciate due to Pokemon Go, and just for good measure, let me know whether you're getting Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, or if you're holding out for Generation 8. Speaking of games on the Switch, it's one of those things where you need to take some chances and try out different games, which is exactly what I've been doing. Because I don't have a lot of time to play games, I've been downloading a lot of demos and just basically giving it a shot. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'd like to buy this game eventually when I have the time. I'll add it to my watch list or I'll watch a Let's Play of it. So I definitely want to be talking to you guys more about different Switch games, and I really hope that you support that venture of mine. Thank you so much for watching, and let the battle for the Crystal Badge begin.